Assalamu alaikum. Masal khair al jamii. We would like to welcome all of you to our today's workshop, which is going to be about how to avoid plagiarism. So today's workshop is going to be presented by Dr. Zainab Muhammad. Thank you, Dr. Zainab, for agreeing to present today's workshop. So the floor is yours. You may start now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Basim. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Basim. Thank you, Dr. Rawan. And thank you, Ms. Basima, for organizing this workshop. And I would like to welcome the participants who are joining us for this workshop, today's workshop. So as Dr. Basim has just started, this workshop is about avoiding plagiarism. So avoiding plagiarism. This topic actually is of great significance in academic writing. And it is one of the problematic areas in academic writing. Even though we have some solutions to this issue, but it's still we are having this kind of practices among young writers, beginner writers, as well as experienced writers. Let's start and look at avoiding plagiarism. So if we look at this picture and look at this student and the teacher, just take 1 minute to think about this picture and tell me about your observation. What is happening here? 1 minute. You can think of the student. You can think of what is written on his paper. And what is he telling the teacher? What situation can we think of? Let's say a scenario. What scenario can we think of? Please feel free to hold on your mic and to say something. Oh, you're writing, okay. Okay. Yes, yes, Arup. Right. Argument about his grade. What else? Why is he arguing? Yes. Right, right. Yes, thank you so much. Copy. Copy and paste, not right. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes. It's copied, not his facts. Right. So thank you so much for these ideas. This student, we can just say, we can have this scenario, if you like. This student is actually unhappy about the F he got. and he's asking why. And he's just telling the teacher that I have just copied them straight off from the internet. Why are you giving me F? You asked me to write an assignment and I copied it. So I can say he has made no effort. If you look at copy and paste, that means no effort. Now, shall I consider this as a school student or university student? What can you say? Yes, Aru. Can I say this is a school student or a university student? Yes. So can we expect such practice from a university student, maybe a school student? Sarah, maybe Aru, maybe a university student. I believe this might be typically a school student because I expect certain level from a university student. And maybe this type of practices at university has or have some rules and restrictions. But as a school student, they can just start writing, copying and pasting as long as they are doing something. Might be, but even if they are school students, we should show them, we should teach them, we should give them hints and clues how to do this copying and pasting, right? So for university students, I believe we have some certain ways to avoid this kind of practice. Thank you so much. Now let's look at our outlines. So today's workshop is going to be about what is plagiarism, and we will look at what does it include. Is it only this assignment we have just seen, or there are some other assignments? Why do students plagiarize, and how can we avoid plagiarism? And then we'll be looking at plagiarism and academic writing skills. We'll see what type of skills do we need to avoid plagiarism. And to the end of today's workshop, we'll be looking at plagiarism and online tools, whether to detect plagiarism or to use these online tools to avoid plagiarism. Let's look at the first one, plagiarism. Now, if you look at these points, which one should be considered as plagiarism? Which one should not be considered as plagiarism? From your own background information, from your own understanding of plagiarism. Take 2 minutes to think about it, then we can share ideas. Yes, please. If you think this is plagiarism, you can say why. If you think this is not plagiarism, you can just give your own explanation. Okay. Tulafa, Umar, A and B. Okay. A, B, and D. Make your ideas, okay. Okay, good. Okay, let's look at them one by one. Let's look at A. Not providing a reference when you have used someone's or somebody's idea. So here we don't have reference. So as you have just mentioned, so this is plagiarism. Let's look at B. Copying a few sentences from an article on the internet without giving a reference. So copying. So you're just copying as the example we have just seen, student, the scenario of the picture. So copying a sentence, few sentences from the internet with no reference. It is plagiarism. C, not giving reference when you use commonly accepted ideas. For example, AIDS is a growing problem. This is not considered as plagiarism. Why? Why do I say this is not considered as plagiarism? Yes. Because we call these general, yes, commonly accepted ideas. We call them, yes, general, exactly, Aru. Yes, exactly. This is general knowledge and it is commonly accepted ideas. Now we all agree that this is AIDS is a growing problem. So this is not plagiarism and it's okay. But the last one, giving reference but not using quotation mark, is plagiarism. When you take a sentence from another writer or writer's article, and you just incorporate this in your writing without using these quotation marks, then this is considered as plagiarism. So sometimes even we have all these considered as or A, B, and D, as you have just mentioned, considered as plagiarism. Sometimes we could say plagiarism is accidental, is not intended. It is not intentional. That means I can give an example of our students at the prep here. And in the class, they are given, sometimes we give them a group work and they write an assignment, a group assignment or an essay as a group work. And then we ask them to submit this as an individual assignment or individual essay. They work together, they discuss the ideas, and they share these ideas. When they submit this, some of them, they submit the same essay which they have discussed in the group, same, without changing anything. So in this case, I can consider it as unintentional. They do not deliberately mean to copy these ideas, and they just paste it and they just submit it as theirs. But they think that this is what it should be because they have written it as a group. So this type of plagiarism or this type of practice, it could be accidental, even though we should take an action, we should say something, we should guide them and monitor them as teachers. Let's look at some examples of plagiarism, which is these examples are defining plagiarism, and then we can look at them, we can just think of them as example of plagiarism. Let's look at the first one. Plagiarism is defined here as copying without a proper acknowledgement of the origin of the text or figure. It is strictly forbidden. This is actually a quote from Robert Adams, and he is a professor from University of Bristol, UK. In this example, I could say, if you just look back at this one, D, giving reference but not using quotation mark. If I just remove this quotation mark and I still have the reference, I still acknowledged Robert Adams, but I remove this quotation mark, can I consider it as plagiarism? Can I say this is plagiarism? If I remove the quotation mark? Yes, right. Yes, Fatma. Thank you, Ilham. Thank you so much. Yes, we should consider it as plagiarism. So, because we have just taken this off, but this is quotation. So if we remove this, we would consider it as plagiarism. Now let's look at the definition here. Read the definition again. Read it. So what does he mentioned here? Describe to describe plagiarism or to describe this practice. What does he say? Look at the word forbidden. Forbidden means not allowed, right? It's banned. So we can just say, according to Robert Adams, plagiarism is strictly forbidden and it is not allowed. So as I mentioned at the very beginning of my presentation, that it is considered a significant issue. Yes, not legal, exactly. Yes, it is banned, forbidden, right? So, but still it is common practice and it is a global issue. It is common practice among academia, regardless of their context, regardless of their discipline. If you are in science or if you are in computer science or you are studying medics, if you are in Saudi Arabia, if you are in the USA or UK, wherever, so it is a global issue and it is considered as common practice. Let's look at the next one. Now here we have another quote from University of Michigan. Do you please take 1 minute to read this quote? 1 minute. Yes. So this quote has some keywords. And there are some conditions here also. The keywords okay. So the keywords, can I have some answers from your side, please? What are the keywords here, and what are the conditions for describing plagiarism, or what reasons are mentioned here by this professor? What are the keywords here? Good. Good. What else? What else? Good. Thank you. So these are, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Excellent. 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 Yes. So this word is very, very important word. Dishonesty. So here is unacceptable. This is the key word. One of the key words. Unacceptable under any circumstances. But despite this universal disapproval, we have just mentioned that this is universally not accepted. Despite this universal disapproval, it is one of the most common faults, or more common faults, with student papers. In some cases, it is a downright dishonesty. So this is another keyword: unacceptable, disapproval, and dishonesty, not born by laziness, but more often it is lack of experience as how to properly use material taken from another source. So the two conditions are not only laziness, as he has mentioned, but also lack of experience. As I mentioned, when we give the students assignment and we ask them to do it as a group work, and then we ask them to submit it, we have to show them something. We have to raise a point here. When you finish writing the group assignment, you have to take the assignment and you have your own voice. You have to rewrite it, to use your own words, and then you submit it. Do not submit the same assignment. We have to tell them something. Not only laziness, but sometimes lack of experience. And as I said, he refers here to plagiarism as dishonesty. If this plagiarism is deliberately done, then, as I said, we should say something. We should take an action. If this student knows about the regulation and he committed this mistake, let's say, at this level, I should give him or her 0 on the spot. I have to take an action as a teacher. If it is lack of experience, then we can find a way to manage it. We can say something, we can help the student manage this. Now let's look at another one. Another code, and it is also defining plagiarism. Now, the two, sorry, this is the dictionary definition. The previous two codes, this one, these codes, the two, plagiarism is defined as dishonesty. And here in the dictionary, the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it is defined as verb here. I've taken this as a verb because the previous ones used as a noun. The first one is to steal and pass off. And the second one is to commit theft. Look at these negative words. Steal, theft. So the first one, to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own. You take it, say this is mine. As our young student at the very beginning of our presentation, he has taken copied and pasted from the internet and said, this is my assignment, without crediting the source. The second one is commit literary theft. Present as new and original idea or product derived from an existing source. So these two, when I say negative, I mean steal and to commit theft. This location, commit theft, and also we say commit crime. You see, these are negative words. Commit and steal, but unfortunately, this is the truth. This is the truth among our young, inexperienced students, and sometimes among experienced students, even though they know, but they still commit this mistake. So, as I mentioned, and I always give this example to young students, that in Islam, we as Muslims, we do not cheat. We should not cheat. And I always tell them that this is unacceptable in Islam. And in some cases, I could say this is haram. And we should avoid this kind of practice. If we just let it go from our side as teachers and from their side as young learners, it will be as a behavior or habit for them. And as we have consequences in Islam for this kind of crime, let's say, we should have some consequences in the class and as an institution. As an institution, we should have, we have actually, but I'm just relating this to my own context in my class. So as it is not allowed in Islam, just because they are young learners, I don't want them to make it a habit. They have to look at it from this point of view. In some cases, not all. So it is same as we have in our educational system, and not only my class, but other classes. I believe they have this practice, and they are doing something to avoid it, and they are helping students to avoid this kind of problems. So now there are some reasons mentioned in the previous quote, if you could remember, the one of this one. Yes, this one. The one of Roland from Michigan University. He has mentioned some reasons here. Now here, what does it include? Sorry? Yes, we have to look at this first, and then we will look at the reasons. Let's look at what does it include. What does it include? It means what? It means plagiarism. Only plagiarizing in the class assignment, or there are other works that we could plagiarize. So here, it could be lectures, it could be texts, it could be visuals, graphs, photos, and others. You can add any example from your own, if you like. You can add any example. There are a lot of examples of plagiarism, but these are some we mentioned as example, and I have just added my own context, my class, essays, which we ask the students to write and to submit end of the course or the class. Sometimes we ask them to write a paragraph, and then sometimes we ask them to write an essay, and they submit it. Okay. Now, these are some examples. Copying material from another source with no reference, and presenting ideas, research arguments as your own, gaining credit twice for just one piece of writing. This is very, very important. Yes, 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 yes. This is a nice example method for cooking. This is a nice example, and we can add our daily life chat, Haru, if you like. Sometimes you have an idea and you want to have this idea. For example, if you say something and another your friend, let's say this, and she adopt this idea and say this is mine, as for cooking, for example, and then she tells everyone that this is her own idea, while it's not, right? So these are simple ideas that we can think of as plagiarism. But we do not intentionally, sometimes we do not intentionally do it, but still it is plagiarism. So thank you so much, Sharon. So look at this one, gaining credit twice for just one piece of writing. For example, if I have submitted my master's thesis at King Abdulaziz University, and I have been awarded this master's, let's say in biology or zoology or whatever, and then I take the same thesis and submit it to another university somewhere else to gain credit. Is it acceptable? Is it acceptable? This is what I just referred to as I told the student, this is haram, as I said. Yes, this is being dishonest and not ethical at all. So this is one of the biggest issues among researchers. So if you come to this point, if you come to writing and gaining credit twice, that means you are an experienced writer. Then you have to abide by the rules, the restrictions. So you do not commit this mistake. Here I can say this is crime. This is a crime now. At the beginning, I could say this is copying, pasting, this is not crime, this is just unintentional, but this one is a crime. So we are looking forward to see our students, our graduate students, to avoid these practices by all means. And we will see how to do this in a minute. How could we avoid it? Because this is our main issue. So this is the point I looked at previously, and I asked you to look at the quote from the University of Michigan, the professor. Why do students plagiarize? I give an example of laziness from that quote, and the other reason, laziness, and remember the other reason, laziness and yes, laziness and what did we say? Good. I like this one because we are teachers and we're working on this. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. So these are some reasons, but here we could think of others. What do you think? Why do students plagiarize? What do you think? Yes. Yes, yes, Sajida. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes. Time matters. Thank you so much. What else? Yes. Time matters. Easy. Yes. Accurate information. Let's see. Okay. Now here, these are possible issues. Why students plagiarized? Might be inhibited by previous habits. It might be lack of training, time factor, lack of knowledge, lack of confidence. As we mentioned at the very beginning, when you share your ideas about the picture, you remember when I said I could say this is a school student, I could say he is inhibited by previous habits at a school, that is just copying and pasting without reading, without summarizing, without making some kind of changes using synonyms and so forth. Yes, yes, Arup, ideas and organizing these ideas. Yes, and we could say here this is kind of lack of training also. And as you have just mentioned, time factor. We are just want to submit an assignment. We just want to submit an assignment and just we have a deadline. So this might be a reason for us to copy and paste according to their understanding. And it might be also lack of confidence. Some students, in fear of mistake, just copy and paste, because their major issue is they do not read, not enough reading. Yes, of rejection. Yes, yes, right. Fear of rejection. Thank you, Sajida. So they do not read and they do not take notes. They do not make summary. We have a good example in our context at classes, that the students they are having their speaking project, and we usually ask them to consult some books, magazines, online sources, and then they write a summary about it. They actually do not write a summary. They just take all the information and then they submit it as a summary of this source. So here we have to say something about this, because we can consider it as lack of knowledge, or lack of training, or lack of practicing. So they do not practice how to write a summary, how to make the summary effective, not only taking all this information and submit it as a summary, because they are asked to write a summary, not copy and paste the information from the source. So all these are some examples, and a study I can mention here, a study conducted in Japan, and they have added to this. They have mentioned some of these, but they have added cultural differences. And I think cultural differences make difference and in understanding plagiarism. So this might make some kind of, because as I mentioned, the example of my context, my students, I told them that this is haram and it is forbidden. This study mentioned cultural differences and the attitudes towards plagiarism. So, and a lot to say about cultural differences, a lot of cultural issues related to academic writing, although it is universal, but still we have some cultural issues related to these practices. And also in this study, they have the professor or the scholar has added a lack of skills and language proficiency. So all in all, these are some possible issues related to why students plagiarize. So this is the point. How should we avoid plagiarism? Or how can we stop our students commit this kind of mistakes or problems? Any idea? Any idea? Yes, good. Yes, thank you so much, Umar. We have just mentioned some that, yes, training is a key word. Yes. Thank you, Aru. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's see. So be informed, make sure you understand it. As you have just mentioned, be honest, do not deceive your tutor. If you do not know it, tell the tutor, tell the teacher, please help me, I don't know how to do it. Yes, yes, right. Thank you, Sajida. Be professional, follow academic conventions. We have some academic writing restrictions, we have rules. We have to tell the students to abide by these rules. And consult, be cautious and consult your tutor. So be informed here, for example, in our context at the ELI, in the writing assignment on Blackboard, we have two versions, one in Arabic, one in English. We just from the very beginning of the writing classes, we show them, they have an idea about it, but we remind them every while and then that you have to avoid plagiarism. And we have the percentage, and we have to show them that we are detecting this kind of practicing. And there is certain percentage that we is allowed for you to copy and paste. So we have to show them from the very beginning. And if the time allows, I can share KU website, Blackboard website for as an example, maybe to the end. So still we have some negative effects of plagiarism. What do you think of these negative effects? Still the students, if they are plagiarizing, they are not following the academic conventions. They do not ask the tutor. They are not serious about, as you have just mentioned, Sajida, they're not serious about their writing. Sometimes, or some students, not all, of course. We have some issues of being dishonest. So what do you think? What are the negative effects of this practice? What might happen? This specific student who is committing this, let's say, crime. Although I don't like to impose these negative words on my students, I'm just trying to be positive. But still, there are some negative effects of that. For example, I'll give you one example. The student, if is just take it as a habit, just copying, pasting every while and then when we ask them to submit an assignment, this will hinder their learning. They won't be able to learn. They're just ready. Why should they go and read and write? And this will grow as a habit, and it will stop the learning development. This is my own understanding, my own belief about it. And as researchers, if we take it from the other side, not students, not university students, let's say graduate students, it will affect their critical thinking skills. Even for younger students, it will affect their critical thinking skills. And this will affect their argument when they provide argument in their writing, in their thesis. It will show that this student has not, they won't have their own opinions, and they cannot provide their own argument. They won't have a voice. which is very, very important in academic writing. So it's not just taking from this source and this source and this source, and then you compile them to have your writing. This is another way of plagiarism, which is so-called batch writing. So you just compile sources and then you just combine them and take from this source, from that source, and then you say this is my assignment or this is my thesis. This is unacceptable, and it is a kind of you won't be able to have your own voice. And in an article about psychology today, I guess, it's mentioned as creative limitation of your writing. So all these are consequences or are negative effects of plagiarism. Now, as I mentioned, we are allowed to copy for our assignment in our context at the ELI, the 25% of the assignment we can copy either from the generic phrases, as I have just here mentioned, or from the book, because they have models of grammar structure and language structure, and they have models of writing paragraphs in their books. So it's okay because they are beginner writers. They are in their first step of writing assignments this way. So we have to show them that you are allowed to use these generic phrases, or the example I have mentioned about the group work. You can take some ideas, use your own words, and submit your assignment. So we have to show them what to use exactly, and this will be helping them for their future writing. So the example of as I said, the example of our context, the writing assignment is a good example. So generic phrases. What are generic phrases? As you have just said, there are some words and phrases that we can use, we are allowed to use, but they depend on the level of our students. Maybe these phrases, I advise like graduate students, college students, they can use it, but for our context, the ELI, this might not be the suitable or appropriate level for the students. We can direct them to use the linkers or the phrases, the fixed phrases that we have in the book, or they might also be able to use the vocabulary, the academic vocabulary list for using synonyms, for example. So it depends, these generic phrases depends on the level of the students and the type of the assignment they have to submit. It depends on whether this assignment is an essay or a report, or let's say a book review, whatever. It depends on their discipline, what type of writing they are doing. So this is a website, Manchester University, and this is the phrase bank. You can just follow this link and you will find a lot of examples for different parts of your writing and for different types of your writing, even different sections, as I have just mentioned. So it's very important to mention here that plagiarism in academic writing is a significant issue, as I said. So what academic writing skills do we need to avoid plagiarism? What are the academic writing conventions? What type of academic writing do we do? At what level? How do you manage your writing? What can we say about these 3 points? Hmm? What is academic writing? What are the academic writing conventions? What do you know about academic writing conventions? Yes, good. So this is one type of writing. Yes. What else? So when we say about academic writing conventions, we have a lot of academic writing conventions to mention. For example, we have a referencing style. Yes, and this is the way of organizing our writing. Good. So this is the type of writing you are doing. So in academic writing conventions, for example, we need to think about referencing styles according to your level. What type of references should we use? And also we think of academic vocabulary, technical vocabulary, let's say. And yes, structured writing, including evidence. Excellent, excellent. And also type, as you mentioned, the type of writing you are doing, whether you are doing, as the example you have mentioned, research paper. There are some conventions for writing research papers, conventions for writing assignments, reports, book reviews, and so forth. So as college students, so you maybe in science you are doing report, you're doing some kind of reviews. Yes, Arub, thank you. And what we mean by managing your writing is how do you write? How do you write? Do you follow a process when writing an assignment or a research paper? What do you do? Do you read and make summary and use annotation, and then you compile this? You have these sources and you combine them to write your, yes, the style of writing. Good. And the process of writing. And do you edit? How do you edit? Do you proofread? How do you manage your writing? So this is what we mean by academic writing. We have to be aware of this, and from the very beginning of our awareness of academic writing conventions and what type of academic writing we do, we have to think of not plagiarize. From this step, if we avoid plagiarism from early stages, then it will be, as let's say, a habit. We won't do it again. From the very beginning, yes, depending on the idea, yes. Thank you so much, Sharu. So from the very beginning, when you start your process, your writing process, and you gain awareness of the writing conventions and the type of writing, we need to think about plagiarism. So, of course, there are some solutions for to avoid plagiarism. So we can consider this as an optimal solution for not plagiarize is to citation. What do you mean by citation? Any idea? Okay, let's see. Citation. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, yes. We have to acknowledge what we are writing. Incorporating material from another source into writing in order to add and support your claim, and you give example, you refer to evidence and arguments in your writing. You should provide evidence. You should show some kind of acknowledgement. You should include reference. So, for example, this definition is from this course book, English for Academic Purposes, UK. So the different types of citation. For example, we use in-text citations. And again, it depends on your type of your writing you are doing and the rules and the conventions you are following. And as we said, the department will show you what type of style to follow, or the college will show you what type of style we are adopting. And it is called also genre specific writing, and the type of writing you are doing depends on whether it is science or arts or so forth. So we use in-text citation. We mention the reference and we mention the author in the text. And one good way of doing this, I consider it as very effective, is notation. Of course, we have to summarize. When you summarize, you have to mention the reference. When you go back to write and to combine your resources, that will be easy for you to insert the in-text citation. So different ways of doing this. Citation has three forms actually. These forms are paraphrasing, summarizing, and quoting. So what is paraphrasing and what is summarizing and what is quoting? Let's look at paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is changing a text so that it is quite different from the source while retaining the meaning. Another way of looking at paraphrasing is that it doesn't aim to shorten the length of a text. It is merely to restate it according to Bailey. So what do we mean by paraphrase? So it's just in a simple way, is just to rewrite your text, but in a way it is not shorten. You restate the main idea, in other words, in your own words. Yes, different way. Thank you so much. Yes. So this is what we mean by paraphrasing. Paraphrasing and summarizing. They are similar at some points and they are different at some other points. Maybe the upcoming workshop will give you more ideas about paraphrasing and summarizing. But again, we will look at paraphrasing and summarizing short here. So we do not stretch the writing, the statement in paraphrasing. We do not inject the paraphrase with new ideas, but we can use synonyms. And we do not change meaning, and we use accurate language. Let's say use your own language, you use your own words. And we know that we have academic writing vocabulary list. Again, the vocabulary is field specific. So science is different than ours and so forth. These examples I give. So what are the characteristics of a good paraphrase? So as we said, same meaning, accurate content, similar length, ideas of the source, do not change the ideas, use your own language. So these are some typical ways of paraphrase. As we have just mentioned, you can use synonyms, use part of speech, change part of speech, change nouns and pronouns for singular or plural, change forms of the verbs, ing, for example, to infinitive, change style from personal to impersonal, reverse the order of the information. Sorry. And also we can add here, you can use passive also, which is advisable. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, it is advisable, especially in science. So this is example number 1. Look at this changes, let's say, evidence of a lost civilization has been found off the coast of China. Now, possible paraphrase could be remains of ancient society, evidence of lost civilization, remains of ancient society have been discovered in the sea near China. So this is one example, a very simple example. Another example could be here. Universities also place the burden of understanding plagiarism and attribution conventions on students. So look at these highlighted words. Look at these highlighted words. Read the paraphrase, look at the highlighted words. Yes. What can you see here? As if we just look at this one here, ways of paraphrasing. What can you see here? The responsibility for learning how to reference correctly and avoid plagiarism and be passed from university to the students. We change the order of information here. We change the order of information here. Okay, is it the same? Is it the same, Aru? Universities, look at the word universities here. It is at the very beginning. And now it is here, the very end of the paraphrase. So we have a change of order here. And we have passive here also tense to past. And yes. Yes. Yes, if you look also at responsibility. See? Responsibility. So we have a lot of changes here. A lot of changes. Now, what do we add here? What do we add? We add the reference. See? We add the reference. So this is a good way of paraphrasing. We have more than one way to paraphrase, but we still have 3 or 4 of them here included in one example. And we add the reference. So this is an effective way of paraphrasing, and is suitable to the graduate students or college students. But for us as prep students in our context, things are different and we are taking it differently. So let's look at the summary and what is the summary and how do we summarize? When you summarize, you explain the main idea from someone's work. When you summarize, you write about the article. You do not write about the actual topic of the article. So we write about it. We do not write about the actual topic. So these are some simple ways of or definition of summary. Is taken from lectures in academic writing medics 2020. And another 2 points about the summary. So in summary, we eliminate wordiness, including most adverbs, for example, very and clearly. So we just stick to the main ideas. We use specific concrete language. And this is very, very important in summary. In summary is very important also. We start with notation. As I mentioned, I'm mentioning this a lot. To make an effective summary, you have to have an effective way of taking notes, and this will help you in text citation, as I mentioned previously. So let's look at this activity, very short one. Read the text. How do we summarize? How do we summarize? Read the text carefully and check the key vocabulary. Now, what points would you add here in the missing parts to complete this summary? Yes, please. We have here number, the 3rd one, make notes of this. Taking care to, yes. Keywords, or key points. Key points, good. Underline or highlight the key points. Make notes of these, taking care to important ideas. When I say use your own words, use your own words. Yes. Write the summary using notes, reorganizing. Look at here, reorganizing the order, excellent, of ideas where necessary. And check the summary to make sure no important points have been omitted or destroyed. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much, Sajida, Arub. Thank you all. Yes. Now, the last part is quotation. What do we mean by quotation? Using the same language of a source, and you can incorporate part of a sentence, such as a word, a phrase, or whole sentence, or several lines. If you just remember the first part of our presentation, we have mentioned some quotation, and we have given examples of two ways or two quotations, and on defining plagiarism. So quotation, I think, is just in science is not that much used, right? Science, we do not use quotation a lot, right? But in arts, I guess we are using quotation a lot. So when and why do we use quotation? When language or words or phrases of the original source is particularly clear and significant. So if it is significant, then use quotation. And as I said, is not commonly used in science, but we use it as for definitions. In science, yes, we can use it for definitions. Mostly quotation used for definitions, and this is also another point of the significance of the original language or source. So this is why do we use quotation. The last point is plagiarism and online checker, and plagiarism, paraphrasing, and online tool. We have a lot of examples for plagiarism checkers online, and a good example is what we are using at ELI website, at ELI Blackboard platform, that is called SafeAssign. We are using it to detect and check percentage of plagiarism in students' assignment. As I said, this is one example. There is another example of Turnitin, and also is another online checker. Nowadays, there are a lot of different ways to detect and check plagiarism online. So you can, some of them you can use it yourself. I think Scriber, they have one for students to use. I think so. And some of them you have to pay, I think, for that. So this is one of the examples we have at BLI, if assign. Online paraphrasing tool. And one example, as I said, there we have a lot to say about online tools these days, especially the couple of years where we have COVID. We have been using these online tools. So Quillbot, you are now online, you can just check and go to quillbot.com and use this online tool to paraphrase. But always there is a but. Is it a solution for our writing? It's good and helpful, but is it an optimal solution for our writing? I've just mentioned the optimal solution for that. So, my dear students, as just an advice, don't rely on this tool. Don't rely heavily on these tools. You need to read and read. Not only copying and pasting, always I advise my students to read and read and read. Because you need to combine the source. When you read here and there, you need to combine these sources. You need to assemble your ideas to have a coherent piece of writing. You have to have your own voice. You have to have you in your writing. You have to have your voice in your writing. So Quillbot, others, Grammarly, they are not enough. They are helping. I cannot deny that they are helping a lot. It is not the solution. Training, excellent, excellent, Aru. You have to train yourself. You have to ask others. Yes, reading is very useful tool. Thank you so much. By presenting these tools, the online checker and the online paraphrasing tool, we are just coming to the end of our presentation. Thank you for sharing these ideas. Thank you for your time and your efforts for making this evening. Thank you so much. So this is the reference list, and you are welcome to, yes, have any question. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Rawan.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zainab, for this wonderful workshop. I really enjoyed it. I really learned a lot from your suggestions, recommendations about how to avoid plagiarism and how to stay away from plagiarism. Thank you again. Thank you so much. And thank you all for attending the workshop. So I shared with you 3 links. The first one is the evaluation form. Please complete the evaluation form. Make sure you write your name and your email correctly. So now let's open the floor for any questions or suggestions or comments.
Or even comments. Yes, thank you so much. Yes. Thank you, Umar. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Yes. I think there is a question about percentage of plagiarism, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as in our context at the ELI, as I mentioned, for private students, we have the 25%. But it depends on the type of the writing you are doing, and it depends on the department, restrictions they have, and the penalties. So this is very, very important. You have to get informed from the very beginning before you start your writing. You have to ask, or they sometimes they are provided by your professor, percentage and penalties and restrictions. So I think all is there. You just go and check the website before you start your writing.
Also, there is another question here from Rabi. I guess this is for us. Is there any service in KAU to check or correct mistakes? And if your question is about whether we provide this, yes, we have it in our writing center. You can go to the website and make an appointment with one of our specialists, writing specialists. So then we will be happy to assist you to improve your academic writing. So that's all. Actually, that's all it takes. Go ahead to the website, the second website, appointment website, and inshallah soon we will be back on campus, inshallah. But now we offer all of our services online. So here, Fatima, how I begin the writing at the first time. What is your advice for the first draft?
Yes, yes, Dr. Basim. My advice to this participant, the student, that first of all, what are you doing? What is your discipline? What type of writing are you doing? It depends on the genre, the writing, the type of writing you are doing. Are you writing a report, or you're writing an essay, or you're writing post assignment, extended essay? What type of writing you're doing? Then I would say research paper. Okay, so if you're writing research paper, then my advice is to start from reading these research papers. You start reading, no other solutions. You start reading, depending on what requirements do you have, what do they ask you to do. If they ask you to write an assignment, different than to write a research paper. So they are asking you to write a research paper, go and read about research papers that written in the same field previously, and take them as an example. Read and read, get some ideas about how do they write it. And then you can start having your own idea. I don't say you just read and then you follow them. Read to have an idea about how do they write it. If you do not read, field specific reading, not general reading, then you won't be able to write. So you start from reading these papers and start thinking about how to summarize, not from the very beginning, of course. Read 1, 2, 3, and then make your summary as you go. And while you are summarizing, you can join also our workshops, as Dr. Basim has just mentioned. You will learn a lot about summarizing, paraphrasing, and how do you start thinking about your writing. If it is an essay, then you need to brainstorm ideas, you need to follow a process, but all in all, you have to read. So this is my advice. Maybe there are some others. We can listen to Dr. Basim or any other participant here. can give you more. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rabia.
Thank you so much. We'll have, I think, one more question before we end the workshop from Majda. How to avoid plagiarism in scientific writing?
Yes, we have just mentioned, because it is scientific writing, you first need to know what style of referencing do you follow in the college. And when you decide the type of or the style of referencing you are following in the college, then you go and incorporate this reference in your writing. Use paraphrasing, use quotation, use summarizing. Use all these skills to avoid plagiarism. So you have to cite. But before you do all this, you need to read and summarize and make paraphrasing, and then you incorporate this reference in your writing. And you have to be aware about the conventions of writing scientific paper, and also the type, as I said, of the reference you are using. And I think this is all should be under the regulations and the rules of the department.
Yeah, indeed. So one more question, if you may, Dr. Zainab, from Arup. Arup is asking here, could the consequences of plagiarism reach for being sued in a courthouse?
Yes, Arup, penalties should be there. And penalties start from our zero we are giving to the students' assignment. Even if it is unintentional, we should give them zero. Just we just click on, because we need to remind them, go and do something else. You are doing it the wrong way. Till you go to the copyright. If this book is not yours, you take it and you put your name, and then you go and sell it and you get the credit. I will, if it's me, I'll send you to the court. Sorry for that, but this is how it should be, starting from this simple way of writing these assignments till you come to the and also the college and the department should have some restrictions and penalties also. So we should be aware of that.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Basim.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Zainab, and thank you all for attending the workshop. Inshallah, we will upload this wonderful workshop on our YouTube channel within 24 to 48 hours. As the certificates, inshallah, will be sent, inshallah, within 24 to 48 hours. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Dr. Basim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.